I put out a new video every single week.
5 years later.
What's up, guys? I'm Kenny from Upscale Lures, and I'm going to be showing you how to 3D print fishing lures in 3 steps. Let's get started. There we go. There we go. Off the 3D printed lipless crankbait. Wow, look at that. Holy crap. Dude, I mean, that's at least 3 feet, right? Oh my God, he came back. He freaking came back. Hooked up to something here. A couple casts on the lipless. 3D printed lipless crankbait and a decent pike. We'll get this guy back in. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. Dude, my heart just pounded because I'm literally out here just testing this lure. Testing the Dynamic Glide. I just hooked up on something. In this video, I want to provide you the most amount of information that I can from my over 6 years of experience of 3D printing fishing lures, whether it's lures that I designed or other lures that I did not design and I printed them, tested them out, whether it's airbrushing them. You could do a Sharpie airbrush, maybe a interesting, different, maybe more, you could say more advanced technique of 3D printing them in multicolor. We're gonna cover that all today in 3 steps. So step number 1 is what you need. Obviously, you're gonna need a 3D printer, filament, and you have some fishing lure components and a couple more boxes down there. We'll start off with the printer. A lot of you may already have one, or maybe you're looking to upgrade. I think it comes down to your budget. How much do you want to spend? Because that's gonna kind of put you here, right? It's gonna that'll show you what you are able to get. So depending on your budget, and then I kind of broke it down in speed, quality, and multicolor 3D printing. A big factor for me, I mean, it was like almost top of the list, almost number 1, was multicolor 3D printing. I feel like it's underrated, and I feel like there's still a lot more potential to be unlocked with that. I feel like we're just starting to see what's capable with multicolor 3D printing. And I feel like I've come up with some decent stuff, but I feel like there's a long way to go. So, okay. So multicolor was definitely high up on what I wanted my 3D printer to do. The X1 Carbon with the MS was the best option that I found. I tried some other multicolor 3D printing, and none of it was consistent. If I wanted, there was no reliability, okay? And this thing has absolutely proved itself to be the best thing that I have found. I guess my number 1 recommendation for a 3D printer would be this machine. I not only have one of them, I have 2 of them. They work fantastic. I was also talking about speed. If that is a factor, it quite literally cuts your print time in half. It gets a little different when you're printing in multicolor because that does take more time, swapping out colors and stuff. But like for a single print like this on my Prusa, sitting right over there, this would take about 4 hours. Okay, this print right here would take about 4 hours on the Prusa. On the Bamboo Labs, it takes 2 hours. So the speed, it's kind of incredible that it can cut the time in half. So if you're going out fishing tomorrow or 2 days from now, and you need a couple lures, what's the faster option, right? So the speed is incredible. It kind of blows my mind. I do notice, like I'll be going through. Oh man, am I gonna show this off here? Like if I'm going through just a couple of my boxes of prototypes, if I'm going through those, like I can spot the ones that were printed by Prusa. Like that slower speed does give you a different
I don't know, I guess you could say aesthetic. But I mean, you're still with the Bamboo Labs, the quality's still there. So just throwing that out there. So that would be quality. Quality is there, speed's there. As for multicolor 3D printing, this is the best that I've found. If I find something better, I'll probably try it out. But that is the best I have found so far. Going back to your budget, right? So depending on like how much you want to spend, something like this will run you right around $1,500. They have like a bare bones P1S combo, okay? So then you're looking at something around $950. So it's kind of a stripped down version, but it's still going to get the job done. So I do want to be very clear with this. For Bamboo Labs, this is the only printer that I have printed with. This is the only Bamboo Labs printer I've had experience with, and it works freaking amazing. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I guess I'm just implying that this thing works so well. I'm just assuming that their other printers do the same. They have a Facebook page, so you could go on there and see more like real world issues and advantages to their other printers. So that's what I would recommend you to check that out. Man, they started just rolling out all sorts of different printers here. So the A1, so that, I mean, like, you got all different tiers here. If you just want the printer, it's around $400. If you want the combo multicolor 3D printing, you're looking at around $660. If you want to dip your lure in the water of multicolor 3D printing, I feel like the A1 mini combo, right now it's around $400. I feel like that would just kind of get you into the world of multicolor 3D printing. Again, I only printed with this printer, so you know, do your due diligence, look up videos, look up reviews. There's plenty of them you can find. There's a ton of other 3D printers out there, which will probably work. I mean, it'll get the job done, obviously. Again, budget, and what do you want out of your printer? Speed, quality. Do you want multicolor 3D printing? So those would be the questions that I ask myself when I buy a 3D printer. Just to kind of show off what this printer was capable of, okay? So I wanted to max it out and print the biggest possible freaking lure that I could possibly make with this printer. It is a 23-inch glide bait that I printed on this thing. It's in 2 pieces. And this is over a 100-hour print. And I used Velcro to keep the hook door shut. So I make portable fishing lures that when the hooks are stored on the inside of the lure, they are super easy to tie on. You can also store this, in a fanny pack, purse, fishing bag, glove box, center console. And it will be 100% tangle free. I'm not sure about this one. If you want to throw this in your duffel bag, it probably will be tangle free. I maxed out the print volume with this lure. So it took a crap ton of filament. This is 5% infill, and this thing is still pretty freaking heavy. I cannot, I'm kind of surprised how heavy this damn thing is. I did print the eyes, the 2 eyes, super small layer height, I think 0.05, I think. The 2 eyes took like an hour to print. They came out pretty good. And look at that, I actually have autofocus on my camera this time. This is pretty cool. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, so I was quite impressed, with this printer. Next, you're going to need filament. I started with ABS. This was, like 6 years ago. It was supposed to be the most durable. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want my lures to break, so I'm going to use ABS, right? Well, it's kind of difficult to print. It stinks the house up. I don't have any ABS anymore. I got rid of it all. I wouldn't recommend using ABS. I mean, if you're making a shark lure, maybe, okay. If you're thinking about using ABS, I would try PETG first and see how that works for you. I don't use ABS anymore. I then moved over to PLA, which I think PLA is fine. PLA will work, especially for like a smaller lure. I find like something like this that has like the lip on it. Okay, it'll work with PLA. I think you risk breaking it. I mean, if you're clear coating it and all that stuff, you might be okay. I know people would talk about, I think I talked about it, where it has a low melting temp, you know, it could warp in your car, this, all that, this and that. I don't think that, I haven't had that experience. Went down to Florida, had these in the hot truck. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened with, you know, the PLA. I think it's more durable than you think. And add to that too, because I know in my past videos from years ago, they talk about PLA is biodegradable. If you look into it, it's not biodegradable. PLA is not biodegradable. If it was like in a perfect state, you know, it would break down. But like, I think we were kind of fed a lie there. So there's videos out there. Take a look. I don't think it's biodegradable. Does it really matter? I mean, at some point, all the plastic, it'll break down at some point. The perk to PLA is there is a ton of options of colors, right? You just have, I think that's your most mainstream filament. So you're gonna be able to pick from so many different colors. They have PLA basic gradient, they have matte, they have silk, they have dual color, they have galaxy, metal, sparkle, marble, yeah, and they have like also carbon fiber one. So I haven't even tested that. Maybe that would outperform ABS for all I know. PLA glow in the dark. I mean, come on. So, all right. There's my case for PLA. I mean, I'm kind of jealous, to be honest. What I would recommend for filament is PETG. That's basically everything that I have. PETG is more like impact resistant than PLA. If you are doing tails and fins, like you can get it pretty thin, and PETG, like I'm pretty confident. You know, I mean, this right here, there's some thinner parts in there. But like if you smash this on the rocks, like there's a good chance that it'll be okay. Not every time, you know, you smack it on a bridge or whatever. If you do it just wrong, you know, of course it'll break, but I feel like you have better odds with the PETG over PLA. Of ABS durability, and then, you know, just the ease of printing of PLA, and, you know, they had a baby, which doesn't make any sense because I think it's a completely different material, but it prints easy. People talk about having stringing. I don't really have that issue, and it seems fairly durable. And it is the same material that most plastic bottles are made out of, which are pretty durable, you know, like you can drop them, smash them against the wall, whatever. And I mean, most time they don't really break. The one negative about PETG is that there is not a boatload of like what PLA has. PETG basic, PETG translucent. I have not tried the PETG carbon fiber. PLA is just fine. Don't overthink it. You know, print with it. If you start having issues, try PETG. ABS, I don't know, man. I guess I don't really see a reason to try to do ABS. PETG, and that's my number one recommendation. PLA will work just fine. I'm jealous of all the color options. The filament manufacturers out there, come on, man, give us some more options here. So next is fishing lure components, and I would recommend just buy all of them. It would make it a lot easier, because I don't know what you're making. You know, are you making 7-inch glides? You know, 5-inch, 2.5-inch, or whatever, 3-inch. I don't know what size lures you're making. So it's kind of difficult for me to recommend exactly what you need. I guess in general, what I would recommend, if you go with stainless steel, so you don't have stuff rusting on you. So I think that's kind of the way to go with that. When I'm buying in smaller quantities, I go to Lure Parts Online. It's not sponsored, but I don't know, that's just what I use when I'm buying smaller quantities. Either you could just kind of play around with it and just buy the different sizes, you know, kind of guesstimate what you need. So say if you found a couple of the designs that you want to print, read over the description, and most of the time they will point you in the right direction of what size hardware that you need for that lure, right? So like you're printing a lipless crankbait, read the description, you know, maybe they're like size this, size that, screw eye, split rings. So I would go that route. Or again, just buy all of them. For Lure Parts Online, so you can also go on their website, you can download their PDF, or I guess I'd rather have the actual physical catalog, the magazine or whatever that has all their supplies in it. Just go on their website, you can get one for free, they'll mail you one so you can see what they all have. So if you're in a pinch, right, like you're trying to print a lure right now, today or tomorrow or whatever, I'm sure you got a stash of old tackle box with a bunch of old lures. You could use that hardware to get you going, right? So old hooks, split rings. I don't recommend it, but if you absolutely need split rings, I believe like Hobby Lobby, and you might find them at like Home Depot and stuff. But I think a lot of that stuff's like made super thin. Like if you catch like a 10-pounder on there, it might actually like rip those split rings out. And the screw eyes are like made of brass, and you could probably almost, you could almost bend. All right, step number 2. Oh wait, wrong channel. Step number 2 is printing. So I'm gonna break that down into a couple different sections. So you're gonna need an STL file. The main website that I use would be Thingiverse. There's a bunch of other ones, and there's more of them popping up. You got Printables, Cult 3D, Things. You got Maker World. Browse around, see what they have for fishing lures, see what sparks your interest, make an account, be able to save them, because there can be pages and pages and pages of them to go through. Read over their summary. They'll kind of break down maybe the supplies you need, or they'll be like, oh, hey, this is a prototype. I haven't really fished with it yet. A lot of these files that are on there that you'll find, I mean, they're not made, I mean, they're not made by professional lure designers, right? I'm not talking crap or anything. I just want to explain to you that, I mean, there's a lot of files out there. You just don't know the quality or how much time and effort has been put into that particular design, right? So, you know, you put all the time and effort into it to print it and design, print it, assemble it, paint it, all that stuff, buy the right size fishing lure components. Then that kind of sucks if that lure swims like crap. I think it's on Thingiverse where they have makes where others make it, and then they show pictures or whatever, so you can see what other people's experiences were with that particular file. Make sure to look over the print, see if you actually caught fish with it, see if it is it a prototype that he's like, oh, okay, well, it sort of works, or is it, okay, hey, this one works, I've caught fish on it. You got to kind of see what you're getting yourself into. I have a playlist on YouTube of where I made and reviewed roughly 30 different 3D printed lures. Some of them were mine, some were not my design. And I made them, I assembled them, I fished with them, I kind of like reviewed them. Granted, those are now roughly like 5 years old. So I would take the techniques that I'm talking about here, because I have more knowledge, I have more experience now from when I made those videos. So take that, push that over into those other videos. So you can check out that playlist, get a general idea of maybe a couple lures that you would be interested in starting to 3D print, start your 3D print and fishing lure journey. For printer settings, you can just go generic presets for all this. And then again, going back to looking at the STL files, and then the designer will they'll give you instructions. Is it 100% infill? Is it 80? You know, whatever it may be. The layer height that they used, I would say a good starting point for any lure would be a 0.2 layer height. It gets you good enough detail, and then it doesn't take you forever to print a lure. Once you get to know the settings more, you can do some more finagling, do more adjustments and stuff. So say something like this 6.9 inch glide, I believe I'm doing a 0.21 layer height on that. Printing like 3 of these at a time, multicolors, you know, you got 5, 7, 8 colors. Does make a difference on your print time with that little bit of bigger layer height. And I find the detail, especially on a bigger lure, it still comes out just fine. So let's say you're gonna do like a 4.9 inch, 5 inch lure. I go with a 0.2 layer height for that and does just fine. This thing is so freaking cool. This is the 2.9 inch, my 2.9 inch Nama Glide. And I think that thing is so freaking sweet. Pretty sure that was a 0.2 layer height on that. And I was extremely impressed with the detail. Dude, like the hook doors, like printed correctly. Like that is, it's freaking wild. I need to make more of these things. 0.2 layer height, you could probably, the magnets are almost too strong. You could probably go a smaller layer height on this, just to get a little bit more detail, but that still worked. My recommendation would be to do a 0.2 layer height. Seems to work just about everything. Once you gain more of that experience, then you'll be able to either tweak it up, tweak it down, and then adjust accordingly. So for the longest time, I never really dried out my filament. I just kind of went with it. Over time, the filament, the PLA, ABS, PETG, it will absorb the water, and it doesn't print. It kind of degrades the quality of the prints. This is what it looks like when you have filament that needs to be dried, and when you foam load it, it shows you all the kind of the imperfections. So it kind of proves that when you print a lure, that it is not watertight. So you either need to clear coat it, or I foam load them when you're doing a multicolor print. So when this happens, when you have that much like overfill of that foam, it just takes way too long to clean this up. So when I started drying my filament, this basically got close to nothing. There might be some minor, a little bit of foam here and there, but nothing close to just, you know, this ridiculousness where there's foam just coming out everywhere. And it was just, it took so long to clean this up. So if you're not drying your filament, you're more likely to have water get inside your lures, which screws up the action. If you're clear coating them, maybe a little less likely to happen. When I design my own lure, I make it in a way that the plastic is 100% infill. That'll kind of lead us into step 3 with assembly and painting and stuff, waterproofing. On some of the lure files, they're like, oh, print it, you know, I don't know, 50% infill, 85% infill. So like if you're clear coating it, it's probably fine if you do less than 100% infill. I think it should be 100% infill. I'm not saying like a 100% solid plastic lure, but I'm just saying that the plastic itself is 100% solid plastic, because I don't want any pockets of air that are going to be in there. Because like if this is 85%, it's more likely to soak in water, and then it's going to screw up the action. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, step number 3, assembly and paint. I'm going to just show you actually how I assemble these things. So I got some pliers, screw eye, kind of screw that in right there. Obviously I kind of want those straight. That is screw eye. So you got one for the front tie on, And then this is to attach the other half. Obviously, different lures are going to be different. So like when you're installing these, like if you're screwing that in and it's extremely tight, you might want to go a little bit smaller. If it's too big of a screw eye, it will end up cracking the plastic. So then you would want to go a little bit smaller on the screw eye. This one is for the hook attachment. We have the back part right here. So just like a small pair of pliers gets the job done. It does help that those are straight. Goes together like that. You got the pin. Slides right on top there. There we go. Get yourself some split ring pliers. Make your life a little bit easier. Pop that back one on. I mean, sometimes you can do it without them, or you can use just regular pliers, but these really do just work the best. So we'll put the front one on, get that split ring on there, get your hooks on. If you're doing a lipless crankbait or square bill, it'll be a little bit different, but you still got similar hardware. So you slide that on, and there you go, just like that. You got yourself a fully assembled lure. That's the general basic idea how you assemble your lure: split ring, screw eyes, hooks, pin if you got a glide bait or a two-piece. You look on the STL file, look at the summary. They'll probably give you kind of a breakdown how to assemble their lure. So you can get them airbrushed, or you can do the multicolor 3D printing. For coloring your lure. So when you airbrush them, you're gonna want to clear coat them. That's kind of the standard, right? So if you clear coat them, less likely that it's going to take in water. So you kind of make it waterproof, right? As for the multicolor 3D printing, I struggled with this for a long time because I was trying to 3D print it waterproof, but that is damn near impossible. After a certain amount of time, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour, you notice the action changes. It's soaking in some amount of water, and then the action is just different. And most time it's worse. On my past videos, I would talk about the old print and fish, where you would print a lure, assemble it, and you would just go fish it. I call it the print and fish.
Print and fish?
Print and fish, a print and fish. So I learned the hard way that your lure is not waterproof. I've tried all sorts of different things, tests, thicker walls and all this stuff, and I tested them in a test tank, and like no matter what, it eventually took in water. The action would just go to trash. It would get destroyed, and I'd be like so confused, and I'm like, it was just working, and now the action is horrible. Like, what is going on? But after numerous just trial and error, I figured out that eventually, if you're doing the print and fish, it will take in water and it will destroy your action. Just remember that. So if you're fishing a lure and it starts just acting weird, might have took in water. The best option that I found, so if you guys are doing multicolor 3D printing, I guess you could clear coat them. I never have. It just gets a little bit more complicated when I'm making portable fishing lures where the hooks are stored on the inside of the lure. So there you go. So it's a little difficult to like clear coat something like that. I do have some of the My Design lures available. They'll be all linked below. I do have like the 6.9 inch Namek Glide, super choppy lure, pretty cool action. Caught some pike on them, caught some bass on them. If you want to go with something a little bit smaller, I have the 4.9 inch Namek Glide. I call them a portable fishing lure because the hooks are stored on the inside of the lure. Super easy to tie on. You can store these, take a box, fanny pack, purse, fishing bag, all that stuff, and it doesn't get tangled. They were just designed to be super portable. Bring them with you everywhere you go. Great for pond hopping. Super convenient for like if you're kayak fishing. It's the small things that add up to a lot with the portable fishing lure. I found foam loading multicolor 3D printed lures to be the best option for me. I got a little bit different situation. The lures got hook doors. It's a little bit different. I find it easier than trying to clear coat it. And I feel like if you do end up cracking it, you have it's less likely to take in water versus potentially a clear coated lure. If you guys are interested in foam loading, let me know. Maybe I could do a separate video on the foam loading process. You can also Sharpie airbrush. It's not my design. I will put the link below, but I've used this on quite a few of my designs. So if you're like I'm not too big into like the whole airbrush thing. It seems like I'll do it every once in a while, but like this is like a super quick and easy way to paint your lure. You don't need an air compressor. You don't need all the paints and all that stuff. And there you go. So, and it yields pretty good results. You probably want to wear gloves because it is a permanent marker, but it is another option for you. Like if you don't want to go out and spend, I don't know, even a basic airbrush, what's $50 maybe? One of my older ones, so it's not the best, but I like, because I airbrushed that, Sharpie airbrushed it, and it's translucent filament, but it gives it a really cool kind of sense of depth to it. So I think that's kind of neat there. I mean, not the best, obviously, but it kind of looks cool. These are some jerk baits that I Sharpie airbrushed, and pretty good. Got like a trout pattern on there. Hopefully that's focusing somewhat decent. Give you guys a general idea of the capabilities too. And then, so now that we're talking about that, the Sharpie airbrush, the benefits of 3D printing is that like you can make 3D printed stencils, which is freaking awesome. And some of the lures do come with stencils. So if you can't airbrush like me, those come very handy. Sharpie airbrush, another option. You got the stencils, multicolor 3D printing, foam loading. You can foam load it to make it waterproof. You can clear coat them, airbrush them. The biggest takeaway of all this is you need to make them waterproof. Just be aware that if it takes in water, it's gonna destroy your action. Just remember that. So if it starts swimming weird, you might have water in it. I think that was everything. I'm sure I probably missed something. If there's a certain topic you want to learn more about, please let me know down in the comments so I can address that on the next video. So hopefully all that information will help you out, get you going, 3D printing some fishing lures. We broke it down in 3 steps. You know, step number 1 was you get the right printer, the right filament, fishing lure components, broke down step number 2, STL websites, default settings, generic, just your standard layer height. Step number 3, clear coat. You got clear coat, you got multicolor 3D printing, foam loading, action matters. If you don't want water getting into your lures, otherwise they go to trash. And I think that wraps up the 3 steps of 3D printing your own fishing lures. So what the heck are you waiting for? Get out there, make some cool shit, and remember, action matters. Did I really just film this whole video wearing the same shirt I wore 5 years ago, talking about the same stuff? Moving on. We got a long way to go here, man. I got a lot of notes. These definitely all have notes on them. Yep. I think that's everything. Holy crap.